Mm. Are you hopeful for the present peace talks that are going on between Israel and the Palestinian Authority?
I think it's too early to say anything about that. I am not sure. Nobody knows.
Yeah. What about the diaspora, as it's called? You know, this is the area outside of Israel where most of the world's Jewish population still live. Is there any tendency, any growth of interest on the part of diaspora Jews to emigrating or making aliyah, as they call it, to Israel? And if not, why not?
Well, we had the very large aliyah from the former Soviet Union, obviously, in the 1990s, and we have about 1 million former Russian Jews living in Israel now. But there is aliyah all the time. It depends which community at which time is the most active, but we have even people immigrating from countries like Canada or the United States and so on. Israel is not an easy country to live in. A person has to have a love at their heart to come there and live there. So, but there are Jews who are coming to live in Israel, and we are seeing aliyah every day.
I so often would hear Israelis say, when I lived there, you know, if only the world's diaspora Jews would come to Israel, we would not have the issues that we have now as a very, very small nation. And I'm sure they're right. And some have expressed almost bitterness at being the, as one Israeli said to me one day, the museum keepers, you know, for the diaspora. We're just sort of the last hope, the last gasp. If some other Holocaust should emerge, at least they can come to us and we'll protect them. The feeling being, if a Jew really cares about Israel, he should live here. I think that, you know, they've got a point. But as you say, it's a tough place to live. Why do you suppose it's so tough to live there?
Well, I just think there is a lot of pressure coming from outside. Right now we have the Iranian president, Ahmadinejad, expressing his wish to commit another genocide.
He's in Lebanon today, actually, I think, or yesterday, yes. Causing quite a stir.
Yes, so there is a lot of pressure and there is a lot of uncertainty and fear. And we, of course, know that ultimately the God of Israel will protect his nation. That's what I really believe from my heart. But it's not easy to live under a threat all the time.
And it's also very compressed. It's a small area.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I mean, I think from one part of the coastal plain over to the West Bank is about 30 kilometers at one point. Yeah. Just a narrow little strip of land at that point. Mm-hmm. Let's shift gears here. Tell me about the Christian Friends of Yad Vashem. First of all, Yad Vashem itself, most of our viewers have never been there, maybe have not heard of it. What is Yad Vashem? Tell us a little bit of its history.
Yes. Yad Vashem is much, much more than just a Holocaust memorial. The name Yad Vashem comes from the book of Isaiah 56:5, where God says to them, I will give in my house a memorial and a name. So the words Yad means memorial and Shem means name. And then if you would look at Isaiah 56 and continue reading, you would see that in that very same chapter, it says that also the Gentiles who observe Shabbat, who keeps God's commandments, that they are also invited to be part of this nation, because my house will be called the house of prayer for all nations. And why is that so special? In 1953, when Yad Vashem was founded by an act of the Israeli Knesset, the parliament, it was the Holocaust survivors who chose that name. And many of them were the sole survivors of their families. And yet they chose that one chapter where God is inviting the Gentiles to be part of his nation. Now, Yad Vashem has a memorial, has a museum, but it also has world's largest archives on the Holocaust, a very active research institute, and an international school for Holocaust studies. And the Christian Friends of Yad Vashem was founded in October 2006, when Yad Vashem approached the International Christian Embassy Jerusalem, which is a Zionist organization for Christians that has also a branch here in Canada. And they wanted to partner with them in order to educate the Christian world about the Holocaust. And this is what we really try to do. And one of the ways we try to educate the Christian world is by holding seminars for pastors, Christian leaders, inviting them to come to Yad Vashem to learn about the Holocaust, anti-Semitism, and the state of Israel.
Now, the International Christian Embassy Jerusalem has been in existence since
1980.
Yeah, just a year before Kathy and I moved to Jerusalem. And we've been associated with it directly and indirectly ever since. It's had an interesting history. It really got on the map by promoting the Christian celebration during the Feast of Tabernacles,
Yes.
became international in its scope, has developed a very large database constituency, if you will, around the world. Was the International Christian Embassy happy to engage, or were they a little concerned that they might be getting a little bit too close to Israel in this relationship, or was it right consistent with the sweet spot of their concerns?
Well, what I know is that the International Christian Embassy has its mandate also from the book of Isaiah, comfort, comfort my people, speak tenderly to Jerusalem. And what could be more fitting than working with the Holocaust memorial? Because the Holocaust represents the deepest wound in the Jewish history. It's the most difficult chapter of their history. And then having Christians partner with Yad Vashem, trying to educate the Christian world about our responsibility, our history, and what happened. I think this must be closest to that mandate that you can think of. And Yad Vashem is not just any institution. You know, the memory of those 6 million people who died, essentially because they are part of a nation that God chose. That is something sacred.
Well, this is most fascinating. Dr. Susanna Kokkonen is the, you call yourself, are you the director?
Yes.
You're the director of the Christian Friends of Yad Vashem organization with their offices right at Yad Vashem in Jerusalem. And this has been a fascinating conversation. If you'd like to know more about them, I've got your, it's, where's the website? I got it here somewhere. There it is, yadvashem.org. Very easy. YADVASHEM.org. Yadvashem.org. Thanks for coming our way.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Now, something that has sprung out of the International Christian Embassy Jerusalem's ministry is a very remarkable dramatic presentation called The Covenant. And recently, right here in Toronto, there was a presentation of The Covenant, and it was filmed. And we're going to be showing it on CTS sometime in the next few weeks. But first of all, take a look at this.
The Covenant features over 50 stage performers depicting the miraculous history and legacy of the nation and people of Israel. From Abraham to the establishment of the state.
You have welcomed me as your guest. Blessings overflow.
The Covenant demonstrates the reality that modern Israel, though founded upon ancient roots, has an ever-present God who faithfully watched over her since the time of Abraham.
Now that's just a little taste of this, presentation, and we're going to be making it available to you on CTS. Take a look at these dates here. In Ontario, Saturday, November the 27th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The Covenant, the Story of My People, will be showing here. And then on CTS in Alberta, for those of you watching in the West, Calgary and Edmonton, Sunday, November the 28th at 9 p.m. Mountain Time. So if you're in the East, it's 27th, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're in the West, 28th at 9 p.m. Mountain Time, both in the month of November. That's something you won't want to miss.